Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here with my review of Power Rangers Ninja Steel episode 10, I believe this was. Again, it'll be right in the title and description and stuff, just sometimes I forget stuff because I am so smart. Anyway, so this episode was another okay episode. I think I liked it a little bit better than last week. It kind of reminds me of a lot of things I said about, I think some of the earlier episodes of Ninja Steel this is still early, this is only 10 episodes in. Just we've been watching it forever because of how long it airs, but there were some concepts there that they put in that kind of worked but could have been better. Like, mainly it was a pretty cliche episode. We've seen episodes like this not only in PR but in other shows in general about like saving the tree, and there's some sort of like, you know, evil corporation or something going for it. In this case it happened to be Preston's dad, and that again is also not a new idea. It was pretty cliche, but it had some solid moments, I thought. I thought it was a good episode for Preston, and I thought Preston was played well, and his part in it was played well. And it was kind of nice to see a little bit of backstory and character story for him, because we don't get that all that often in the Saban Brands era. We get little bits and pieces here and there. They kind of pick and choose which Rangers they care about more. And then sometimes we'll get a like sort of backstory, but it's not really played to the fullest. So it's kind of a rare moment in this case. I'm curious to see how much we would get about the other Rangers in an episode like this throughout the entirety of the rest of this and for Super Steel. But so that was kind of nice, and I thought his part was well played. But like the dad was really mixed for me, mainly because they actually had like a not a terrible idea there of like, you know, he's gotten colder because his wife died, Preston's mother, and but it was just such a sudden turn. Like, it's hard to have a full arc in just a 22 episode or 22 minute episode appearance, excuse me. So it's not like he was in a multi-episode arc where they could have fleshed it out, but they still could have made it seem less sudden. Like, when he first appeared, he was just so like overly cartoony, like mustache twirling villain, like, haha, money and riches, to hell with the environment, this tree will go down for my skyscraper or my wallet. And it was so like over the top. And then like at the end, the turn was so sudden where it was like, oh, this ribbon, I remember now, let's, you know, hug. And like, I think that moment I wanted to mention, I think it would have been better instead of like the coincidence of that specific ribbon that his dad and his mom happened to leave on the tree, like flew down. I think it would have been kind of more real if Preston had actually like found it and taken it off and said, hey, look, remember this, and then that's what the catalyst was. And I think those are my main two like thoughts on it. Is I think that should have happened, and I think they should have made him less like a cartoony, like I said, mustache twirly villain at the beginning, because it was weird to have that turn of like who you would think would just be a one-off. Like, it still would have been kind of bad writing to have that type of mustache twirly guy if it wasn't Preston's dad, but to have that at the beginning and then try to make him more of a real character. Yeah, there were some good ideas there for like a generic but decent character plot, just some bad execution with like the way his dad was portrayed, especially at the beginning. And then having Victor and Monty as his like bouncers did not help, because I hate them. I feel bad for the actors because every time I see the characters on screen, I just ooze hatred. I hate them so much. And so they had a little bit less antics than last week, I almost want to say, but I'm just not a fan. But yeah, the bottom line of that was, it was some decent stuff, just a little bit poor execution in some areas. And then like, I found it funny that like, they're trying to save the tree. It's kind of like that Connor episode, although I don't think it would have been nice for the tree to have been destroyed in this episode, but I appreciate in the Connor episode of Dino Thunder that it was actually taken down, not by like it was like Zeltrax that did it, but I just appreciated that because it showed you that things like that might not always work out. But that was a total side note. But where was I going? Oh yeah. So like, they're like, oh, we gotta save the tree, and let's put up flyers everywhere. My first thought was, why don't you just like social media? And then Haley and Calvin were like, we got this. So they did do that. And I thought, I don't know why they couldn't have made this episode take place over the course of like 2 or 3 days. Just because it seems so weird to be like, oh, the tree's going down, let's hand out flyers, show right back up after like, what, an hour or two of handing out flyers? Why is no one here? Oh, they're here. Because it was that classic like, nobody showed up, oh no wait, they do care. And it was cliche, but I just think it would have felt less weird time-wise if they had it like take place over like even 2 days would be fine. Like they say this tree's going to be torn down by tomorrow, hand out the flyers that afternoon, and then show up the next day and be like, nobody showed up. Like, that would have been so simple. The only thing it really would have required is a couple lines mentioning how a day had passed and like a wardrobe change. So that's such a small detail, but it just bothered me because it was so immediate. It's as if I like left right now and handed out flyers about like a gathering I'm having outside, and then went to the gathering spot all within the span of about 2.5 hours, and then wondered why no one showed up. It's just, I don't know. It's little things like that bother me sometimes. Also going on was a little bit of progress on the Brody's brother storyline. Mainly at the end when Aiden showed up, and I love how quickly Brody just accepts it. Like, it could have been like, oh, I'm Aiden, and he instantly hugs him. Spoiler alert, it's not him. Or, I don't remember exactly who this dude is, but it's Levi. We know this. But I'll get more into that and some annoyances and however I'll see. Curious to see how it plays out on screen and what I think of it when it plays out on screen. But I'll save most of that for next week. But it was a nice little cliffhanger to have there. And given what I know from the spoilers about the story, I thought the sort of little Easter egg, I don't know why I said Easter egg, little foreshadowing mention or whatever when Levi and Sarah were handing out flyers of him remembering a restaurant wasn't there. I thought that was at least a nice little tidbit that was going to pay off later. So that was kind of nice. We brought back Rip Rat's suit and called it something different. It was his brother. There was a decent amount of US exclusive action scenes, which looked kind of cool. But yeah, overall, it was just a pretty average episode. Cliche, with some moments that could have worked better if they tweaked it. And I did appreciate, like I said, the little steps taken in Gold Rangers / Brody's brother storyline. So that's at least kind of nice. It's kind of like Ninja Steel, in a way, reminds me of Q-Ranger, or at least the way I review it. Because it's like, on the standards of many other shows, like within Power Rangers, just like with many other shows within Sentai, it's really low, you know, in terms of a lot of what it's doing. But just comparing it to some of the frustrations I had in the past, it is doing little bits of better things, because it's not that great, but it's not making me extremely mad yet. Like, it definitely could be better. So it's like, I'm almost, like, both Q-Ranger and Ninja Steel I'm reviewing off of a very low bar, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So it's kind of weird. But anyway, overall, I thought this was an okay average episode, probably about a 7. Like, there was nothing really absolutely appalling about it. So anyway, that's about it. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's Dawson Ryder, signing out.